buried in the ground, and they become like landmines for the future. And I think that's where, in most cases, apart from extreme cases like the China case we were talking about, in most cases, the future can be redeemed by looking at the past to change the present. And I think the issue of reconciliation is an issue of dealing with the past, correcting the present so as to build a better future. And very often we have to do that. Unless we analyze our past, we build on the rubble of the past, and those debris are going to cause trouble in the future.
If I may just add a comment in response to the question, what is the church doing now? The church is doing many things, and the church is responding to situations of oppression and conflict in many ways. Last evening we focused on the suffering church, and that's the reality of the church in many parts of the world, not just in China, but right across Africa, across Central Asia, across the Middle East. Christians are under severe persecution, and there are organizations, parts of the church, such as the International Justice Mission, that is focusing on the issue of religious liberty and is responding at a governmental level on the matter of religious liberty and the liberty of the citizens and their ability to be able to worship the God that they know and the God who has revealed himself to them. There's that dimension. There's of course the dimension of the praying church. We've got the historical example of the church in Germany during the time of Hitler. How the confessing church saw itself having a prophetic role and trying to ensure that it is not complicit with whatever the regime is. The church has that responsibility to understand itself, to understand the nature of the gospel it's called to proclaim, and to know that it does have a prophetic role to speak to the powers that be in the society at a price. This is never going to be easy. There's always a price to be paid if you're going to witness to the gospel, especially in situations of hostility and conflict. There will be a severe price to be paid. But that is the role of the church, and the church is doing many things, responding in many different ways to situations of conflict around the world.
More questions, please. Let's start from there, then we come to you. Here, come here.
My questions are to Rutayisire. I heard after the genocide in Rwanda, some of the international Christian organizations came into Rwanda to make reconciliation and to recover the wounded people. What kind of approaches are effective, and what kind of approaches are involved? That's my question.
That's a very good question. Actually, let me answer this question, not only focusing on Christian organizations, but give you a broader perspective on building reconciliation in a wounded nation. Because I sit on the National Unity and Reconciliation Commission, which is a government commission, and I've been the vice chair of that commission for 9 years now. And I chaired the ad hoc committee that drafted the national policy on reconciliation. And when we were working on that, we looked at the different roles that could be played by different institutions. And you found that if you're going to operate reconciliation in a given country, and you're going to understand the role of the different organizations, you have first of all to tackle the issue of physical needs for the people, because most of the poor areas tend to be most violent. I mean, it's not because Africans are worse than anybody else that we have so many wars and violences and what. Simply because there is a struggle for daily needs. And the people who are poor are easily manipulated for violence. So if you are going to operate reconciliation long term, you have to respond and help people get out of poverty. So there you understand one of the roles those organizations played, because some organizations came in and they are working in that area. Number two, if you are going to achieve reconciliation, sometimes you have to help the people who have been wounded, who have been affected, to be able to find the basic level they have lost, like shelter, like schooling. So many other organizations are working in that area, helping the widows, rebuilding their houses, helping the orphans go back to school. So that's a contribution they are making to the progress of reconciliation. Other organizations, we do have IGM in Rwanda too, they are working in the area of justice. Because if you are going to have reconciliation, you have also to work with justice. The offenders have to be punished, sure enough not to punish them, killing them as sometimes people do. But even in that area, organizations have played a great role. And then the churches, the greatest role the churches can play, and Christian organizations, is in the area of helping people through the process of inner healing, being able to heal, and then forgive, and then also helping the offenders to repent and confess. And you've seen different organizations operating in that area. So all the organizations that have come in Rwanda, we can give them credit for having contributed to the healing of the nation, and they are still helping. So sometimes people say, oh, what are those organizations doing? We say they are making a contribution because when you look at the process of reconciliation, it's more holistic than just saying it's a matter of forgive and repent and come together. Because there are many things you need to work on to be able to operate.
Anthony, you need to watch time, Anthony.
Yeah, oh sorry. I had forgotten that you gave us two.
Yes, I would like her to ask, come. I don't want to ask for her, you might think it's mine.
Just a quick correction. I really appreciate Mr. Newman's comment referring to IJM as a religious liberty organization as an example of the church being mobilized. Just a correction that we do entirely rely upon the church to be mobilized to do our work, but we are not a religious liberty organization. It's actually just a very important distinctive due to the nature of our work into security concerns. So just wanted to make that clear. That we're working on matters of violent oppression regardless of religious affiliation. But thank you very much for highlighting us as an example. I really appreciate that.
Yes?
Sorry, could I just follow up from...
just start so that people can hear.
Sunday Times here in South Africa. What advice would you have for us in terms of reconciliation? What do we need to do for better?
His question is what we could do better in that area of reconciliation.
Looks as if I'm going to be the center of the questions.
Yeah, this one saying 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, less than that. The question Anton is asking, what can you do? You mean for South Africa or from other places?
Specifically South Africa.
Well, you will excuse me if I speak my mind. Because I think in South Africa you did a good job when you are trying to set up a national policy for reconciliation. Actually, we did come to South Africa, but we found that you stopped too early. Because you had your Truth and Reconciliation Commission, when it finished its report, you didn't exploit the report to set in place projects and programs long term for the process of healing and different corrections. That's all. And I think that's the only thing that should have been done. It wasn't enough to do the first part without carrying on to re-educate the population into healing and reconciliation. So if I had to make a criticism, that's the only one I would make.
Thank you. The lady there.
Perhaps you could share some experiences from your different contexts. Because where I come from, Norway, there seems to be a certain problem to be